Have you ever caught yourself talking to yourself? Maybe you were working through a problem, making a decision, or rehearsing what you're going to say to someone. That voice in your head, that constant companion you can't escape, is it really you? Or is it something else entirely? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating mysteries of neuroscience. What actually happens in your brain when you have conversations with yourself? Here's something that might blow your mind. From the age of 7 until the day you lose your mental faculties, you spend 25% of your waking life talking to yourself in silence. That's right. 1/4 of your entire conscious existence is spent in conversation with a voice that only you can hear. Think about that for a second. Even if you don't particularly like yourself, you're stuck with this internal companion, whether you want it or not. So you might as well start getting along, right? But let's start from the beginning. To understand this inner voice, we need to talk about consciousness itself. And here's where things get really interesting. You probably think consciousness is just the ability to be aware of yourself, to know that you exist. But scientists have discovered that consciousness actually operates on 3 distinct levels, and most people have no idea about this. The first level is called functional consciousness. This is the most basic form, and it's not what you think. When a baby is born, it has functional consciousness, but it doesn't know it exists. It can't distinguish itself from the world around it. Everything is just one thing. The baby is the world, and the world is the baby. But its brain, specifically a region called the thalamus, is already organizing all the body's functions: breathing, heartbeat, organ systems. This is functional consciousness, and here's the kicker. If we define consciousness at this level as simply a brain organizing bodily functions, then dogs have consciousness. Cats have it. Even insects have it. Anything with a nervous system that organizes functions could be considered conscious at this fundamental level. Some scientists even argue that computers have functional consciousness because they have a central processor organizing various functions, even though the computer doesn't know it exists. Now the second level gets more interesting. Around age 2, children start developing what's called theory of mind. This is the ability to infer the mental state of others. You look at someone, and without them saying a word, you can tell if they're sad, happy, anxious, or angry. You put yourself in their shoes. This ability is regulated by something called mirror neurons in your brain, and it's absolutely crucial for human survival and social intelligence. But here's what most people don't realize. Theory of mind requires you to reflect, to think about thinking. And this is where your inner voice begins to emerge. The third level is metaconsciousness or self-awareness. This is when you become fully aware that you are you, that there's a self that exists separate from the world. And this is where that voice in your head becomes a permanent resident. Most scientists believe this level of consciousness is uniquely human, though there's ongoing debate about whether some great apes, elephants, and dolphins might have it too. So, when does this inner voice actually start? For years, scientists thought it began around age 7, based on the work of developmental psychologist Jean Piaget. But recent studies have shown that children as young as 18 months already have this internal voice. It comes and goes at that age, but it's there, helping them make sense of the world. The Soviet psychologist Lev Vygotsky discovered something fascinating about this. He found that children use this inner voice for a process called internalization. When adults tell a child something, the child repeats it to themselves, internally, and this is how they truly learn and absorb information. Watch a young child play with dolls or action figures. They're often repeating things they've heard or seen, acting out scenarios. That's internalization in action. That's the inner voice doing its job. But why do we have this voice at all? What's the biological purpose? The leading hypothesis is actually quite elegant. To survive as social creatures, we needed to predict what other people were thinking and planning. And to do that effectively, we needed to be able to deliberate and plan our own behavior. The inner voice became nature's way of giving us an internal rehearsal space. Before you say something, you can hear it in your head first. Before you make a decision, you can argue with yourself about the options. You're never really talking to just one other person. It's always a triangle: you, who you think you are, and the other person. Now here's where things can go wrong. That inner voice, as helpful as it is, can also become a prison. There's a phenomenon called rumination, where your inner voice gets stuck in a loop, repeating the same thoughts over and over. This is different from normal self-talk. This is when the voice starts attacking you, criticizing you relentlessly, or obsessing over past mistakes or future worries. Rumination is a major feature of depression and severe anxiety disorders. Your internal companion has turned against you. And then there's an even more severe problem. What happens when you don't recognize that inner voice as your own? This is what occurs in schizophrenia. The person still has the internal dialogue, but they don't attribute it to themselves. Instead, they experience it as an auditory hallucination. They hear the tree talking to them, or the dog, or spirits, or any number of external sources. But it's not external at all. It's their own inner voice that they can no longer recognize. This isn't caused by exercising your inner voice too much. It's a biological predisposition, sometimes triggered or worsened by hallucinogenic drugs. But it's not something you develop just from talking to yourself. So, should you talk to yourself out loud? Actually, yes. Research shows that verbalizing your thoughts, whether silently or aloud, can improve your cognitive performance. If you're working on a complex task and you verbalize your steps, even just to yourself, you're more likely to remember them and execute them efficiently. It's like you're activating an extra layer of brain processing. Some scientists believe we only have this inner voice because we have language. The voice speaks using grammar, rhythm, and the same patterns as your external speech. According to this view, called the associationist perspective, if you grew up without language, you wouldn't develop this inner voice at all. Deaf people who don't have vocal language still have an inner voice, but it's in sign language, which supports this theory. But there's another school of thought called the continuist perspective that disagrees. They argue that the inner voice exists as part of a natural continuum of consciousness. When you see something, your brain registers it, forms a mental image, processes it, and then initiates behavior. The thought process is just part of that natural flow. According to this view, any creature with metaconsciousness probably has some form of inner voice or internal deliberation, even if we can't access it. Imagine a dolphin seeing a fish. The eye registers it, the brain processes it. Some form of thought occurs like, food, I'll eat it, and then the behavior follows. We just can't hear the dolphin's inner monologue. The truth is, science hasn't settled this debate yet. These are the two competing theories, and both have compelling evidence. But what we do know for certain is this: that voice in your head is real, it serves important functions, and it's going to be with you for a quarter of your entire life. So, maybe it's time to start treating it with a little more kindness. After all, it's the one companion you can never escape.